Wah. Hi, it's time to talk about the fall season. You know, for 2022, is there a point to this? Because I feel like, statistically, there's really only one show that most people are going to be watching this season, mostly because of the fact that since it doesn't have any prior seasons, there's no commitment for viewers, so they can just kind of drop in on it. On top of the fact that it's super popular even before it has aired, which is kind of mind-boggling, because I can't remember the last time I've seen a series this hyped for before it even airs. Usually it's like there's a reasonable amount of hype and then episodes come out and then fans can point to those first episodes to new people and be like, see, we told you this shit looks great. And that's how hype gets built. Not this time though. I mean, beyond that, there are several major sequels coming out that will satisfy those who have watched the earlier seasons of those shows, which just leaves all of the other original series languishing in the dust, unfortunately. Will any of those be worth mentioning? We'll have to see. But first, a quick word from our sponsor. This video is sponsored by both Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co. Monthly subscription boxes full of Japanese snacks for your mouth to enjoy. The Tokyo Treat box focuses on snack foods, more specifically with up to 20 limited edition, exclusive and seasonal Japanese snacks, with the upcoming box labeled as their Spooktacular Snack Box. Because Halloween has always been a very snack-focused celebration here in the West, and Japan is no stranger to it either. We got things like Halloween caramel corn, maple pumpkin loaves, and sweet potato Kit Kats. The Sakura Co box is a little bit more cultural, containing 20 traditional, authentic, and artisan Japanese snacks. This month, focusing on the Ibaraki harvest. Fall means harvest. So to celebrate, this box contains many things with that in mind, like sweet potato cake, strawberry tart, and a wonderful piece of tableware. I got this little blue plate in my box, but apparently it is a surprise as to what you might actually get in yours. Look out for that. There is also tea, because almost everything in Sakura Co box pairs well with tea. I know that because of the accompanying booklet for both boxes that lets you know what everything is, some bonus Japanese culture information, as well as the allergy info for those that need it. There will be a coupon code in the description for $5 off your first box, alongside links to both individual boxes. Now, these specific boxes will only be available for a limited time before they swap over to a new theme. So if anything that I ended up showing off looks interesting to you, then you should click on the links and check them out sooner rather than later. Your stomach will thank you. And with that, let us continue with the video. Okay, so here's the Earth. Quickfire! Let's go through a lot of the entries for this season, and hopefully we will find something of worth. Let's see, there was an isekai where a guy doesn't become the hero or the villain, but fills some kind of Vegeta role and creates a secret society to work in the shadows. Cool. Another isekai where our guy gets reincarnated as a sword and finds a new wielder in a slave cat girl. Because what is it with isekai and slaves? Seriously. Japan, are you okay? No. The answer is no. And also, yes, Urusei Yatsura is getting a readaptation, which normally I wouldn't put much hope on the general populace in caring about. Mostly since the original Urusei came out before I was even born. And it has historically only appealed to people who were either anime fans of that era or people that care about the history of anime. Like me. However, not only has this series been one that has normally seemed to stand the test of time considering its age, but this new adaptation is also being produced by David Productions, who, when they last adapted a popular story from the 80s, we got the entire JoJo adaptation franchise. So there is still some hope. Probably a bad season to try and grab any semblance of spotlight, but you never know. It might get lucky. Diving out of readaptations and isekai, there is a slice of life about a bunch of girls coming together to build furniture and other crafts. This is a series which has its sights squarely on being my comfort food for this season. I mean, come on, I'm the guy who was enamored by a series about scooters last year, because that was very calm and chill, and things like Camp has landed as one of my favorite anime ever, so this is right up my alley. Either that or, you know, Bocchi the Rock. Probably not in the same vein of slice of life like Do It Yourself, but this is Cloverworks' new show for the season, revolving around a girl who plays guitar and wants to be in a band, but is far too shy to actually meet people and accomplish said dream. Relatable. But she somehow ends up meeting the right extrovert that helps her out, and they start a band. Should be a good time. I don't want to make the obvious comparison here, so I'm not, and we're just gonna say that it looks like it's gonna be a good time. The last original series on my radar is Akiba Maid Sensho, a period piece taking place in 1999. It's sad that I get to say that that's a period piece now. And it showcases the maid culture of Akiba at the end of the last century, back when that form of cafe had a big, massive boom that has seen rises and falls ever since. Now, normally, I wouldn't say that this type of series was piquing my interest, and even after watching the PV, I probably would have just put it as a solid pass. However, it is being done by PA Works, and it's being directed by the same guy that helmed both Sakura Quest and Bunny Girl Senpai, so that alone is enough for me to check it out and see if, maybe it'll be the surprising underdog of the season. I don't have high hopes, but it's happened before. And with that out of the way, let's get to the heavy hitters of this season. Spy Family, it's continuing its first season with part 2, having taken a mid-season break. Not much to add to this one, considering the fact that, the first season didn't really feel like it ended at all and just sort of stopped airing without like a midpoint climax or anything like that. So I fully expect this part 2 to just start back up again, and we're all gonna pretend that that break never happened and we're gonna watch it accordingly. Assuming you were even watching part 1 earlier this year, which of course you were, right? Mob Psycho is getting its 3rd season. After 3-ish years, we finally get to see what's going on in the continuing world of Mob. I would have been worried about this show's popularity waning in that intervening time, but if the recent Sans versus Reagan sexy fight is any indication, I think the popularity is doing just fine. There should be nothing about this upcoming season that would disappoint fans of the show, unless, of course, you are watching it dubbed, in which case prepare for some recasting as Crunchyroll is gonna Crunchyroll. I'm not gonna get into that mess all that much since there's people far more qualified to speak on the topic of what's going on with Crunchyroll and their new dubs, and I most likely get some of the things wrong about the issues at hand, but I will just say that, hey, my expectations were on the floor, and I am still disappointed. Hopefully, though, neither you nor I will be disappointed by the series itself. But that depends on how things go, and if Bones decides that 3 seasons is where they're going to end off this adaptation. And if so, how? But of course, we can't put this off forever. It is time to talk about the series that everyone has been discussing for ages. The one everyone will probably be watching this season, leaving the rest to lay stranded in obscurity. I am, of course, talking about the shonen juggernaut, Bleach, 1000-Year Blood War, starting this October and apparently running for a full 4 cours. That is, an entire year. This adaptation will cover the final manga arc of the massively popular Shonen Jump series, Bleach. Bleach, of course, as an anime, hasn't been airing since March of 2012. It's been a literal decade since Bleach has been on the air. There are literal 10-year-old children who could be watching this video right now who have spent their entire lives with Bleach off the air. And they're 10. They could be going out and catching Pokemon now at this age. And yet, here we are. What other popular manga-made anime series should we be talking about today? Golden Kamuy is going to be airing its 4th season. I realize that after its somewhat lackluster social response to the previous season, Golden Kamuy has kind of fallen off the radar for a lot of people. Unfortunately, not mine. Oh no, I've been keeping an eye on this series every step of the way, and this adventure series / actually a secret cooking anime has always been worth my time. Most people, though, they just don't even know. Like, imagine, if you can, living in a world where you were not caught up with Golden Kamuy. What a dull and lifeless existence that would be. I would know, because I'm actually a full season behind it. My existence is plenty dull and lifeless. But at least I know the cure. Watch more Golden Kamuy, and thankfully, you have that option too. You can also be saved. You can, but you won't. Do you want to know why? Because instead of salvation, you, I, and everyone else is going to be watching Chainsaw Man, which I don't actually have much to say on. Really, I mean, I could go over what the series is about, who the characters are, and why Makima sells the show for me specifically, but I won't waste your time, because, as I said, we're all going to watch it. So why spoil? It is, quite frankly, the most hype I have ever seen any show have prior to it airing. Even, I almost want to hazard to say, more than a lot of sequels of existing franchises. And, you know, if you're not going to watch it, if you're going to claim that you are not like the popular kids and you are going to avoid this series specifically because of how popular it is and how much hype it has, well, if you aren't watching that, and you aren't watching Golden Kamui either, then really, between the two of us, who really has the boring, dull, and lifeless existence? Huh? That's right. It's still probably me. So at the end of the day, what are we watching? What are you watching? That is a question that only you can answer. But as for me, I'm probably going to be keeping an eye on all of the sequels that I actually care about and have mentioned in this video at this exact moment, on top of definitely looking forward at watching girls build furniture, which sounds so weird when I say it out loud. On paper, it makes far more sense. Between that and watching girls form a band, which is something that I have seen several times before, but again, not gonna make that comparison. We're gonna have to see. I may or may not skip the isekais, or at least I'll probably check out to see their first episode, but you know, like many isekai, I don't hold high hopes that my attention is going to be kept, because you got pretty high bars to set at this point to get me out of that burnout of watching isekai. But really, I don't need to rely on that, nor do I need to hope that those new shows are actually going to keep my attention for the whole season, because I already know that with all of the heavy hitters, this season is probably overloaded, honestly. And it's possible that some of these I might ship off to next season, and that's when I'll end up watching them kind of more in a bulk format. But what about you guys? What do you guys think? Post down in the comments if there is anything coming out this season that you're extremely excited for that I did not mention. There might be one or two, or you know, this video is going to be out and you're going to comment in like a month and tell me about the new big thing that everybody's watching that I didn't mention, because that's happened before. Thank you for sticking out to the end of the video. Thank you to our sponsors who are helping out for the video. And of course, lastly, a big thank you to my patrons. My patrons who make it possible for me to do this in the way that I would like to do it and give me the ability to feed myself. So if you are a patron, thank you oh so much. If you're not a patron, there'll also be a link down in the description to join up with Patreon and help out if you so choose. I already know that there are a lot of links down there, but this one is very important, so go check on that. And of course, a very special thank you to those patrons who help out just that little bit more. Specifically, Omar Showman, Hector Montemayor, Wago221, City Yamako, Rifen Bonaparte, and Ross Emerson. And until next time, ladies, gentlemen, and others, watch more anime and stay frosty.